is Trivia for Kids, where it's not just for adults anymore. Hello.
I never know what's going to come out of your mouth. Hello. Thanks for
Hello.
joining us.
Thank you.
What is this voice?
I don't know.
Thanks for joining us. My name's Casey.
My name is Quinn.
And this is episode 84 of Trivia for Kids, the podcast.
And I'm Quinn.
We already know that. And I'm Casey. Oh, man. Oh, goodness. How's your day today going, Quinn?
Tired.
Tired? You should have slept in longer. I don't understand. My kids never sleep in. On days of school, they can't get out of bed. And on weekends, they're up at, 6:45, like, ready for the day.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. I wish you guys would sleep in. So then I could sleep in.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk to you guys about when you submit categories, jokes, birthday ideas. So first of all, sometimes we record the episodes quite a bit in advance. And I don't always check my email the day that I get it, unfortunately. I have a full-time job and I'm a mom of 3. And so I check the trivia email and Instagrams when I can, but sometimes it's a few days before I'm able to get back to people. So if you send me a birthday request like, Sally's birthday is in 2 days, can you put it on the podcast? Very likely we've already recorded it and it's not going to work. So then I have to do it the next week. So just a quick reminder, if you have a birthday request, if you could send it in advance to make sure that we get it on the week of the birthday, that would be super helpful. So another thing I was going to mention is when you send ideas, it might be a great idea to send more than one idea. So when we do the podcast, I try to really keep the trivia different every week so that we're not kind of learning the same things over and over again. And so if you give me an email with more than one idea, then it's maybe like, oh, I can use this one with this, or it's just a lot easier for me to be able to get you a shout out when I have more than one option to deal with. But if you just send one, that's fine too. We'll get it on the list. But there's my soapbox for the day. Sorry. Wah, wah. All right. How about a joke to wake you up a little bit?
Yeah.
First joke comes from Sienna. Thank you. Why was someone eating a burger in a hurry?
Because it was fast food?
Oh, yeah, that could work. Because they were In-N-Out. You know, the fast food restaurant In-N-Out?
Oh.
Delicious burgers at In-N-Out. Question 2 comes from Taylor and Haley. Thank you. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh?
10 tickles.
10 tickles. Although we learned that octopuses or octopi actually have arms and not tentacles. This one is from listener Gray. Thank you. What kind of cat likes to go bowling?
I don't know.
An alley cat. Like a bowling alley. And the last one comes from Maya from Tokyo, Japan. Yeah. And she made this one up. This one, so clever. When A to Z is the alphabet, what is T to S?
I'm not sure.
Trivia for kids.
Ha!
Starts with a T, ends with an S. Love it. It is a joke about us.
Maybe we could be famous.
Maybe we could be famous. Maybe
you
we
have
could
a
be.
Joke after us.
Well, unless people listen to the podcast, though, they probably wouldn't get it. But it's true. Maybe it'll make us famous. All right. Ready for some questions?
What? Huh? Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Here's how the show works. Trivia for Kids consists of 5 rounds with 7 questions each. We will announce the answers at the end of each round. Each new round will have a different category. After the 5th round, we will have the final exam, which will test you on the toughest questions we have covered in the previous rounds. Everyone ready? Let's get started.
Round number 1, the category is ants. Question 1. Ants hear with what part of their body? Question 2. How many stomachs do ants have? Question 3. The leaf cutter ant is the strongest ant in the world. How many times its body weight is it able to lift? Question 4. Fire ants take about 250 what per day? Question 5. What is the only continent with no ants? Question 6. Bulldog ants are known to do what when they are disturbed? Question 7. Which ant has the most powerful sting? Bullet ant, fire ant, or red ant? Round 1. Answers. Question 1. Ants hear with what part of their body?
I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'd be thinking the ears, right?
It is their knees. Ants don't have ears.
Okay.
Instead, they hear by feeling vibrations in the ground with special sensors just below their knees.
Huh?
Pretty cool. Question 2. How many stomachs do ants have?
1.
They have 2. And get this. The abdomen of the ant contains 2 stomachs, one to hold food for themselves and one for food to be shared with others. If you see ants kissing, they are actually feeding each other from their social stomachs. Like moving food from one stomach to somebody else's
So their
stomach.
mouths start touching?
I don't know if the
Butts start
stomachs
touching?
have like their abdomen, so their little segmented parts. I don't know if it's got a hole in it and it just like dumps into the other.
Here's
one.
your fill for the day.
Right. Oh man, that one blew my mind.
Well,
Question 3. The leafcutter ant is the strongest ant in the world. How many times its body weight is it able to lift?
3,000.
Whoa, no. 50 times its weight. The leafcutter ant can lift 50 times its own body weight with its jaws. That's like a human being lifting a truck with its teeth. Crazy. Those ants are strong.
I was gonna guess 5,000. I was like, nope, that's too much. And then I guessed 3,000. And I was like, I don't think that's enough.
Well, it was way
And then
too
I
much.
was like,
50. Question 4. Fire ants take about 250 what per day?
poops.
Good guess. The answer is naps. Fire ants don't follow regular sleeping schedules, except for the queen, but rather a cyclical pattern of resting periods. Workers take about 250 tiny power naps that last about 1 minute on average at odd times throughout the day and night. Oh, could you imagine if you just took a minute power nap 250 times a day?
You mind if I take one really quick?
Yeah. Okay, time's up.
Ah!
Question 5. What is the only continent with no ants?
Antarctica.
Right, I put this in there even though it was kind of the obvious answer, but it's named Antarctica, but there's no ants. Question 6. Bulldog ants are known to do what when they are disturbed?
Shriek.
Jump. They are also known as jack jumper ants, and they are capable of jumping several inches when their nest has been disturbed. Jumper ants propel themselves by a sudden extension of their middle and hind legs. This would freak me out. I don't
See an ant hopping on your
I don't like things to do unexpected things. Like snakes don't bother me when I know that they're there and what they're doing. But if they like lunge at me, or same with spiders or mice or whatever, like I'm fine with things when I know what to expect. But when I see an ant and it jumps at me, I would shriek like a small child.
Yesterday, I did shriek like a small child at school because everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so long," huddled in a circle, and I was like, "What?" And then I looked, and it was this 1 foot long garter snake.
Ooh.
And it was tiny, and it had a really, really tiny head, and it like kept going, like sticking its head forward. And then one of the boys in our grade picked it up by the tail and threw it in the grass.
And let it live?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That was a good choice. Question 7. Which ant has the most powerful sting? Bullet ant, fire ant, or red ant?
Red ant?
Bullet ant. Some victims compare the pain to that of being shot, hence the name of the insect. Bullet ants live in tropical rainforests of Central and South America, in Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil. An ant bites so hard that it feels like you got shot with a gun. I mean, I can't imagine much things hurting worse than being shot with a gun and getting bit by an ant. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and last I checked, I don't think USA is on there.
Thank goodness.
Whew.
Woo. Now, number 2, the category is things that start with the letter K. Question 1. What palindromic canoe was originally used by the Inuit people? Question 2. In what animated film does Jack Black voice a character called Poe? Question 3. What nickname is internationally given to the residents of New Zealand? Question 4. What does the K stand for in the fast food chain KFC? Question 5. Which animal feeds predominantly on eucalyptus leaves? Question 6. What is the yarn craft that involves at least 2 needles? Question 7. What room in your house do you do most of the cooking? Round 2. Answers. Question 1. What palindromic canoe was originally used by the Inuit people?
Kayak.
And what is a palindrome, Quinn?
Where it's spelled the same forwards and forwards and backwards.
Right. It's when a word
So,
is
like-
spelled the same forward, and then if you wrote it backward, it would
Like
be the same word.
Taco cat, TACOCAT, and then backwards it's TACOCAT.
Yeah. Or
There's
kayak, KAYAK.
KAYAK.
Or mom.
Or wow. Or
Race car.
race fast safe car.
Race fast safe car.
Or Mr. Owl ate my metal worm
What? Mr. Owl ate my metal worm?
is a palindrome.
I've never heard of. That's a great one. I wonder if that's the longest one you can have. I'll have to look that up. Question 2. In what animated film does Jack Black voice a character called Poe?
I have no idea.
Yes, you do.
Jack Black plays Bowser in School of Rock.
Yep.
I don't think he plays a guy named Poe.
In Kung Fu Panda.
That's Jack Black?
It is.
What?
Yep. Question 3. What nickname is internationally given to residents of New Zealand?
Oh, I feel like I know this. Is it kitties or something?
Kiwi. Isn't that such a that's such a
yeah.
cute nickname? I wish they called the US something cute like
Yeah.
plums. No. Question 4. What does the K stand for in the fast food chain KFC?
for all those math people out there, keep flip change. I'm just kidding. It's Kentucky.
Keep flip change.
That's like if you're doing a dividing fractions, then you keep the first fraction the same, multiply, and then switch the denominator and the numerator. Like switch them places, and then you get the answer by multiplying them.
Oh man, this new math. I don't know if other parents out there just scratch their heads, but I have no idea what you're talking about, Quinn. But the answer to this question, KFC, the K stands for Kentucky. Question 5. Which animal feeds predominantly on eucalyptus leaves?
Koalas.
So cute. I saw a picture online of how they weigh koalas, and they have this little like tree on a stand, and then they put the koala on the tree, and then they put the whole thing on the scale. It was so cute. Question 6. What is the yarn craft that involves at least 2 needles?
Knitting. But you can knit with over 2 needles?
Maybe. Yeah, sure. You have to have at least 2. Maybe you do something else with a third one. Maybe it stays poked in there while you're...
nose.
Well, maybe. Question 7. What room in your house do you do most of the cooking?
The kitchen.
Yep. I had to say most of the cooking because maybe people cook in their bathroom. I don't know. Do what you want, people. But I cook in the kitchen. Or on the deck when we grill. So, yeah, most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Round number 3. The category is car brands. Question 1. What car company produces the Corolla, Camry, and Prius models? Question 2. What American car company produces the Corvette sports car? Question 3. What car brand produces the popular F-150 truck? Question 4. Dodge's logo is of what animal? Question 5. What car brand makes the Beetle car model? Question 6. What car brand that stopped making cars in 2010 shares a name with a planet? Question 7. In the film Transformers, the yellow and black Chevy Camaro is named what? Answers to round 3. Question 1. What car company produces the Corolla, Camry, and Prius models?
I don't even know.
Toyota.
Toyota.
No.
Toyota.
Question 2. What American car company produces the Corvette sports car?
The Ferrari. That's a creator. That's not a. It's a car and a creator.
Okay, but that's not the answer. The answer is Chevy or Chevrolet.
Oh, I'm so bad at this already.
Chevy Corvette. You didn't hear that? Haven't heard of that? Question 3. What car brand produces the popular F-150 truck?
I don't know this either.
The F stands for Ford.
I'm so bad at this.
Obvi, could have said Ferrari for that one too.
Ferrari.
Question 4. Dodge's logo is of what animal?
A horse. I'm just kidding. That's for a Mustang. A penguin.
What kind of truck does his dad have? A Dodge?
Laramie.
Oh my word. It's a Ram.
No, it's a Laramie Ram.
A Ram. Question 5. Which car brand makes the Beetle car model? Like the kind that you give a slug bug for.
The slug bug company.
Volkswagen or VW?
What?
Question 6. What car brand that stopped making cars in 2010 shares a name with a planet? You each have a 1 in 8 chance of getting this one right.
Mercury.
Well, Mercury used to be a car brand. I was looking for Saturn. But there used to be Mercuries, so I'll give you Mercury. You've said that one right. Question 7. In the film Transformers, the yellow and black Chevy Camaro is named what?
Don't know what a Chevy Camaro is, but I know that the yellow and black Transformer is Bumblebee.
It is Bumblebee. Round number 4. The category is history. Question 1. During World War II, on June 6, 1944, the Allied forces began a massive invasion of the European continent, which was the largest military land invasion ever undertaken during wartime. What is this infamous day more commonly known as? Question 2. In what U.S. state did the big gold rush start in 1848? Question 3. What was the first country to use paper money? Question 4. Who wrote the plays Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet? Question 5. An act of 1864 outlawed children from doing what job for which they were often employed? Question 6. The United States bought Alaska from which country? Question 7. How old was King Tut when he died? Now the answers to round 4. Question 1. During World War II, on June 6, 1944, the Allied forces began a massive invasion of the European continent, which was the largest military land invasion ever undertaken during wartime. What is this infamous day more commonly known as?
World War II.
It was just a day.
Oh, I don't know.
It was called D-Day.
And what happened?
Have you heard of D-Day?
I have, but I don't know what it is.
All right. This is going to get kind of long, so saddle up. But this is a really important day in American history or world history, so I'm going to tell you about it. D-Day was the name given to the June 6th, 1944 invasion of the beaches at Normandy in northern France by troops from the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and other countries during World War II. France at the time was occupied by the armies of Nazi Germany, and the assault landed some 156,000 Allied soldiers on the beaches of Normandy by the end of the day. Despite their success, some 4,000 Allied troops were killed by the German soldiers defending the beaches. At that time, the D-Day invasion was the largest naval air and land operation in history, and within a few days, about 326,000 troops, more than 50,000 vehicles had landed. By August 1944, all of northern France had been liberated or freed, and in the spring of 1945, the Allies had defeated the Germans. Historians often refer to D-Day as the beginning of the end of World War II. So prior to D-Day, we were losing, basically. Germany was taking over Europe. They had taken over France. They had all the people in the concentration. Like Germany was winning. And then D-Day came and we attacked in the largest invasion in world history. And we put all these troops in and all of these boats and all these airplanes and all these tanks and all this stuff on D-Day. And it shifted the war and we ended up winning. Question 2. In what state was the big gold rush that started in 1848?
California.
Correct. The California Gold Rush was a gold rush that began on January 24th, 1848, when gold was found by James W. Marshall at Sutter's Mill in Coloma, California. The news of the gold brought approximately 300,000 people to California from the rest of the United States and abroad.
Wow.
People wanted gold. That's what that means.
I want gold.
I would take some gold if you're handing it out. Question 3. What was the first country to use paper money?
U.S.
China. The Chinese started using paper bills from 600 to 900 AD. Long time ago.
Like a long time ago.
Question 4. Who wrote the plays Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet?
Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare himself. Can you think of any other plays that William Shakespeare wrote?
Oh, no, wait, that's Hamlet. I'm just thinking of Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet. Like, to be or not to be? That is the question.
He wrote Othello. He
I
wrote
don't know what that is.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
I don't know what that is.
I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Question 5. An act of 1864 outlawed children from doing what job for which they were often employed?
Shining shoe?
That's not a bad guess. Chimney sweep.
So they outlawed it? Or
Yep. They said kids can no longer be chimney sweeps. I am so thankful that this act outlawed that because it just breaks my heart. Question 6. The United States bought Alaska from which country?
Russia.
It is Russia.
Wait, actually?
Yeah. Russia or Alaska is way closer to Russia than it is the rest of the United States. I'm glad we bought it. Alaska is beautiful. It was a great purchase. I've been there a couple times. Beautiful state. Question 7. How old was King Tut when he died?
29.
He was only 19.
What happened?
Well, let me tell you. So when you think of Egyptian kings, really the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is King Tut, right? And you wonder, like, why is he famous? I wondered why he was famous. So King Tut is short for Tutankhamun. Yeah, Tut.
We have toots in common.
Tutankhamun was, it does sound like Tutankhamun. That's funny.
That's what it is.
Tutankhamun was an especially important king, but his tomb was the only royal burial found intact in modern times. The tomb was important because it led archaeologists to record what an Egyptian king's tomb looked like and learn more about ancient Egypt. Many suspected he died of foul play. Others suspected his death was an accident. However, almost a century after his tomb was discovered in the Valley of the Kings, scientists used digital imaging and DNA testing to suggest that King Tut most likely died from malaria or an infection. So I watched a YouTube video of them opening King Tut's tomb, and it was crazy, like so cool. They opened up the lid and there was like another layer, and then they cleaned that layer and lifted that off, and there was another layer of like gold and gemstones and jewels. And
So he was a king at 19 years old?
He was. I'm guessing like his dad was the king, so he became the king, and kind of how those king things work. Round number 5. The category is the 90s. Question 1. Los Del Rio was the group responsible for coming up with what 90s group dance craze? Question 2. Which company made the incredibly popular Beanie Babies? Question 3. Which Sesame Street character got its own ticklish toy in the 1990s that was on every child's Christmas list? Question 4. Which popular 90s TV show featured the lives of 6 characters? Monica, Chandler, Ross, Rachel, Joey, and Phoebe. Question 5. Before cell phones were common, what electronic device did people usually use to contact one another? Question 6. What candy became popular in the 1990s and featured an edible powder that created a fizzing sensation? Question 7. On December 3rd, 1992, the first text message ever was sent. What was the message the text said? Round 5 answers. You're going to love this one. Question 1. Los Del Rio was the group responsible for coming up with what 90s group dance craze? Go look up to the hill, Macarena, da 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 da, Macarena. Hey, Macarena. Hi. The Macarena. I loved it when I was a kid. You love it now. It is like still popular at weddings and stuff. Oh, I just can't help myself. Question 2. Which company made the incredibly popular Beanie Babies?
Well, Ty made Beanie Boos.
Same company. It is Ty. People thought that they were going to gain their fortunes by buying Beanie Babies and then having them increase in value and they could just sell them and retire. However, that never happened, unfortunately. Question 3. Which Sesame Street character got its own ticklish toy in the 1990s that was on every child's Christmas list?
Elmo?
The Tickle Me Elmo was the most insane toy thing that happened in the 90s. It was one of those things where people were waiting, like if they had a couple Tickle Me Elmos on the shelf, people were like fighting over them and beating, like it was crazy. I got a Tickle Me Elmo for Christmas one year because my mom was like, well, these are so popular. I got you one. I was 15. I was like, Mom, why did you get me a Tickle Me Elmo? But she got it for me because it was so popular and
Did you ever use it?
She found one and gave it to me. I was confused. Did I ever use it? I was 15. I pushed it a couple times. I think I still might even have it, actually. I'll have to show you.
Yes.
Question 4. Which popular 90s TV show featured the lives of 6 characters? Monica, Chandler, Ross, Rachel, Joey, and Phoebe.
Ooh, Friends.
Arguably the greatest TV show of all time, Friends.
Do you think it's the greatest TV show?
Oh, man, it is. Top of the list, tied maybe with a couple other ones, but just one of those shows that if it's on, I'm watching it. Question 5. Before cell phones were common, what electronic device did people usually use to contact one another?
Cellular phones.
That's the same thing. It was a pager.
Oh, yeah, that thingy with the tiny...
It was like a little rectangle
screen thingy.
Yep. So the way it would work is you would call the pager or beeper number, and there would have either been a message or a beep that you'll hear. After that message or beep, you put in a number, and that number can be the number you want them to call back, or it can be some type of code that you and the other person have agreed to ahead of time. So really, you'd call in, you'd hear beep, and then you'd type in some numbers, and then that other person would have to know what those numbers meant to either call you back or like, I don't know. You couldn't type letters or anything. No.
What the what?
I mean, maybe later pagers you could, but yeah, you just had to type numbers.
Fun.
Question 6. What candy became popular in the 1990s and featured an edible powder that created a fizzing sensation?
Pop Rocks.
I love Pop Rocks. Love them.
Still now?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're so cool. I like to bite them and then they pop in your teeth. So cool.
That is amazing.
And they're delicious too. Question 7. On December 3rd, 1992, the first text message ever was sent. What was the message the text said?
I love you.
It said, Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Nope. Just Merry Christmas. I think that's so sweet that the very first text that they ever sent was Merry Christmas.
I love you.
Stop. And now it's time for the final exam. Now remember, you've heard these questions in the previous rounds, but these were the hardest ones we've had. So use your memory and try to think back to what the answers are. Question 1. Which ant has the most painful sting?
The bullet ant.
Question 2. What nickname is internationally given to residents of New Zealand?
Kiwi.
Question 3. What car brand that stopped making cars in 2010 shares a name with a planet?
Saturn.
Question 4. What was the first country to use paper money?
China.
Question 5. Before cell phones were common, what electronic device did people usually use to contact one another?
A pager or a beeper.
Question 6. An act of 1864 outlawed children from doing what job for which they were often employed?
Chimney sweeps.
Question 7. Which car brand makes the Beetle car model?
VW or Volkswagen.
And here come your shout outs. Ants comes from Henry and Isaac. Thank you. D-Day comes from listener Rowan. Thanks, Rowan. Car Brands comes from listener Bennett. Thanks, Bennett. And New Zealand comes from some Kiwis. Kylie, Johnny, and Christian. Thank you. And some birthdays this week. Happy birthday to Adam.
Happy birthday, Adam.
And happy birthday to John Paul.
Happy birthday.
And happy birthday to Caroline. Sweet Caroline. All right. Here's your conversation topic. Quinn, what sport do you wish you were really good at?
Basketball. But I'm not.
Basketball, yeah. I wish I was good at track.
Oh, yeah. I wish I was good at running,
Yeah.
but I'm not.
I'm not either.
Like, my ankles give away after a while.
Have a good week, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Trivia for Kids Podcast. And if you have a question idea or even an entire category, please email us at triviaforkidspodcast@gmail.com.